hot, and AEW is a startup and it's only been around for 5 years. The thing that drives me nuts about it, though, is that I think right now AEW could be competing with WWE, but I just
Right.
don't like. It's kind of like I don't know if you caught the CM Punk interview,
I did.
but it's kind of like I hear what he's saying. It's kind of like what he's saying, that it just doesn't seem like it's necessarily about that. Like Tony wants to compete with WWE and he wants to do things his own way, which is nothing wrong with that. Like he wants to be an alternative. He doesn't want to be like WWE. But like for me personally as a fan, there you have the people out there that just want to watch like they just like watching wrestling matches. They just like good matches and shit. I'm the type of person though, like if you don't give me a reason to care, if there's not some kind of story behind it or you've done certain things to make me care, I'm not going to be interested. You know what I mean? Like watching wrestling matches just isn't going to be enough for me. There has to be more to it than that. I have to have a reason to care. And I feel like AEW has shown flashes of brilliance. You know what I mean? Some of the feuds that they've done and some of the storylines that they've done have been really good. I feel like all the stuff that CM Punk did when he was there was excellent. And that's with a guy that's like at the tail end of his career that couldn't wrestle the same way that he used to be able to 15 years ago. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it was because it was solid storytelling, build up to a crescendo to a match. You finally have the match. Like the MJF CM Punk feud was awesome. Even the fucking CM Punk Hangman Page thing was good. And that went off the rails and got all fucked up. And even I thought that was good. And I feel like they've done other things too that have been really good. But I feel like, they're just not consistent enough. And they have so many guys and so many girls, and like they don't give me a reason to care about the people that much. That's the problem. I feel like they give too much away too. I feel like every single show they tell you everything that you're going to see on the show down to like every 10 minutes of the show. Like every week they put out like that poster of everything that's on the show. Yo, we'll hear from this guy. We'll hear from this guy. Like, bro, how about you just don't fucking tell me? And how about I watch the show and then it's like a surprise. I didn't know that guy was going to come out. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's like little things like that, inconsistencies. I don't necessarily believe that Tony Khan, I think he cares about matches. Like I really do. I think he cares about booking what he thinks is great matches. And I think that there's a certain fan base that likes that. But if they want to compete with WWE, they have to fucking start doing things different, you know? But that's not to say that they haven't done incredible things. And that's not to say that where they've gone in 5 years is incredible. But I don't know if I agree that they're profitable. I don't know about
I
that.
don't know either, and I think they're still a private company, so I guess they don't have to
Yeah, they're
show us the
private.
books. I'll
And
say
we
this,
we don't have a clue anyway. We don't know, you know.
right? And I mean, a lot of businesses claim to not be profitable because that's the way to get more money or pay less taxes anyway. So, I mean, that's an
Yeah.
old film industry trick. You say that the movie didn't make any money, so you don't have to pay anybody residuals,
Mhm.
especially writers. So, anyway, let me. We had some more good comments here. Uh, did we check this one out? I think we did. Because Michael and my buddy Alex there actually have kind of a back to back comment about Sammy. Chad congratulating Sammy and turning heel on Sammy winning the championship. And then Alex kind of hopped in on that too and says Gable turns on him later. So let me ask you, Gonzo, is that a money matchup or is that something that we'd like to see? Is Chad Gable kind of turning heel like Apollo turning on Rocky? And I mean, even Gable said that when Sammy was going in the ring tonight. Once again, the Rocky thing. I'm going to need a favor, or I'm going to ask you a favor once you beat this Gunther guy. So, what do you think?
Well, I guess I missed that. I didn't know he said that to him.
He did, yeah.
Uh,
It was
I
allusion
saw
to Rocky.
I saw him. I saw Sammy with his kid and his wife, and then I saw him walk up, and Gable came up to him, but I like missed what he said or whatever. But I think what Gable's going to say is like, "Look, I helped you. and I want a title shot. You know what I mean? And that's probably what it's going to be. But I do think that a feud with them would be good. And, I think that they've already put a little bit into it, as far as just like storyline, because he helped them and they had the training vignettes and this and that. And I think that, they can probably do a couple more little things and then do some kind of heel turn with Gable or whatever, and then
Right.
actually have like a pretty compelling feud for a pretty compelling match. So, I mean, I'd be all for that.
Yeah, what they did was basically it was a Rocky 3 reference when Carl Weathers helps Rocky for the second fight with Mr. T's Clubber Lang, and he says, "Once you beat this guy, I want to ask for a favor." And then the favor was Apollo and Rocky had that fight with no audience
At the
in
end of the
the
movie
yeah. So
in the
now
gym, yeah,
right. So basically, Chad is saying once you beat Gunther, because Chad almost beat Gunther. So now
yeah.
Chad wants the match with Sammy, and that's fine. So we'll see, and they might stretch that out until SummerSlam or maybe before. I mean, they have a premium event about once a month at this point, so
Yeah.
they always. It's interesting how they always have to. You can't just end a story at WrestleMania. Sometimes you got to leave it somewhere to go for the next thing, and
Yeah, and
that's
bro, the crazy thing is dude, all of these fucking PLEs are getting bigger and bigger. Like the next one after WrestleMania, I think is in like Paris or something, and they have that one in Scotland coming up, the Clash
yeah,
at the Castle again. Like they're starting to have them all over the place. They had the Puerto Rico one last year,
right.
and they're starting to put them in stadiums. Like they're starting to get stadiums for these things. Like look at Elimination Chamber in Australia. That was a stadium. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy because it's like seems like all the PLEs are starting to have more of a WrestleMania vibe, like bigger and you know.
They announced one for Germany tonight.
Oh, did they? Yeah. So
When Gunther was, I think, right when Gunther was coming to the ring, they showed a bunch of people in Germany watching WrestleMania, fans in some type of venue. And then Michael Cole said something about a pay per view or a premium live event in Germany coming up in August. So,
yeah,
like the last couple of days of August, like I think it was August 29th or something like that. So, I
I
guess
wonder if
they
that's gonna
probably,
be SummerSlam.
I don't think so. I think they had another name
No.
for it. He
Okay.
didn't say SummerSlam. He said something else. So, and that's the thing, because they do the thing now with Peacock, and I guess next year it's going to be Netflix. They don't. And Triple H said that he had an interview tonight, a two-part interview started tonight on the pre-show with one of the blonde commentary ladies, where it's almost like a relief for the people in WWE, the top people, that they merged with TKO, because now some of the pressure of doing the business stuff is off of the wrestling people. Because when it comes
hmm
down to it, I would say Triple H is more of a wrestling guy than a business
Yeah.
guy, right?
Yeah.
So now that he doesn't have to necessarily worry about all the behind the scenes stuff, that they have this parent company of TKO, which I would assume has the best of both worlds, the best WWE people and the best UFC people. Now the wrestling people, i.e., Paul Heyman, Triple H, probably throw Stephanie McMahon in there and whoever else, they can concentrate on wrestling.
And it's kind of funny because it just brings me back to I don't know, I think it was after WrestleMania, yeah, WrestleMania last year when Vince McMahon and Ari Emanuel did the interview when they announced the TKO merger with UFC. And I don't know if you remember this, but Ari Emanuel kept using that word flywheel. Like, they can just incorporate right to what we already have a flywheel in place. And he just kept saying it and saying it. And like people were even like, joking about it. I remember listening to Jim Cornette and Brian Last, and Brian Last is like, dude, how many fucking times is that guy gonna say flywheel, dude? Like, you think they got a flywheel? And but now seeing how this is going, it's like I go back to that and it's like, okay, it's all clicking for me now because like UFC has been trying to become more and more global. That's been like their focus over the last like 8 years. And they've been starting to do events in Mexico, China, fucking Japan, like maybe not Japan, but all these different countries all over the world. They go to Abu Dhabi all the time. They're doing a Saudi Arabia. You know that the Saudi Arabia show that UFC is doing, they got the same in because WWE was already in with Saudi Arabia, right?
Right.
So now you can see that WWE is just going with the same exact model as UFC. Now WWE is starting to go in all these places all over the world and have these shows just like UFC was. And they're also within the states is they're doing the things now where like UFC is going to be on a Saturday and then Raw will be on a Monday in the same venue. So they're bringing like
Right.
both of the products to the city at the same time. I think that what they're trying to do is do that on a global stage now too, where like, okay, there's going to be like this massive weekend in Australia, and Saturday night you have a UFC pay-per-view, and Sunday night you have a WWE PLE. I think that that's what they're going for, and they just want to expand all over the world.
I agree with that, and I would say that one thing that was interesting tonight, UFC actually had a show tonight, one of their fight nights, and I would say that was probably booked before the merger, and because if the UFC WWE TKO thing happened in the last 6 or 7 months, right, and they probably booked that UFC show a year ago or more. So they had to keep that, but I don't think that'll be happening much in the future. I don't think you'll see
No,
very many head-to-heads because why would you
no,
compete with yourself, basically?
no, and that's why the UFC thing started at 6 o'clock. Those fucking
Right.
fight nights never start at 6 o'clock unless they're in another country, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, clearly they don't want to run against each other.
Yeah, I think, like I said, that will probably not be something that they run into again,
Mhm.
and they probably were going to have it at 10 o'clock, and then they bumped it up to
Yeah,
try to overlap just a little bit, and not the whole time. Let's get to some of the other comments here. This Michael AJ has always got a lot of thoughts on wrestling. Mikey, Steve Austin and Cena will show with Jay and Rock. Turn on Roman because Roman taking over Bloodline. Will Rock turn on Roman? He's asking. He's the elder in the bloodline. Solo being in bloodline was Rock's idea because last time they were all together, Rock never been close to Roman, and Solo was moving towards Rock, far from Roman. So basically, Michael AJ is saying that The Rock is going to take over the bloodline. Roman and Jimmy get involved. Jay fights him off, and Solo comes out. Cena shows off. They shows up. They fight off, and Rock try to get involved. Steve Austin fights him. Will Tonga, who's another bloodline guy, but he's not in the WWE right now, show up. No, WWE hasn't mentioned him coming in yet, and Cody will. And I want to see if he didn't really go beyond that.
there's
But
more.
basically, it's a mix of speculation and fantasy booking here. So I think the gist of it is, are we looking at The Rock sticking around for more wrestling and The Rock kind of taking over the bloodline, and Roman either becoming a babyface or Roman going off TV for a while and then coming back to feud with The Rock? This has been bantered around pretty much ever since The Rock did that promo 3 or 4 months ago about where do I want to sit? Do I want to sit at the booth of the bar or the head of the table? So, what do you think? Are we looking at The Rock and Roman fighting over the bloodline? The Rock taking over, kind of like he did with the Nation of Domination 25 years ago? What do you think there, Gonzo?
Well, I mean, one obviously at some point Roman and Rock's happening. I mean, that's definitely happening. I don't know when, but it's going to happen at some point. But I mean, dude, honestly, the way that what they did tonight just made me question what's going to happen tomorrow even more, you know. But like I said, I did hear that. I mean, I could see The Rock taking over the bloodline, but then I also like don't know if I really see The Rock turning on Roman tomorrow. I guess it could happen, but I don't know. Something about it seems like it would just be too fast, like it would be rushed, and there wouldn't really be a good reason, I guess, for that to happen. Um, but I did hear that they signed the two new Samoan guys, the one of the another Fatu and somebody else. I think Jacob Fatu is one of them, who's been
Okay.
pretty well known on the indie scene. I'm pretty sure, like I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure they signed him and another guy. And originally I thought, Roman was going to win tomorrow, which I'm not so sure about that now. But I thought that, probably we would see those two new Samoan guys, and that's kind of how they would get around, or have like some kind of swerve. Because like the thing is I
Safa
don't.
Fatu? Safa Fatu?
That might be his name. I'm not sure. I don't see tomorrow not having some kind of swerve. Like something's going to happen tomorrow that we don't expect, and that's and the two Samoan guys could be something like that could happen. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think something's going to happen tomorrow that we won't expect. And like I said, I don't really know what they're going to do now. I felt pretty confident about it before, but after tonight, after the way all that shit played out, it's like, okay, now I really don't know. But the one thing though is I heard that The Rock is lined up for a movie from like, I don't know, this month till like July or something like that. So I don't think The Rock's going to be wrestling for the next couple of months. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
One thing about WWE in the most recent years, especially, is they've been pretty good from their standpoint of they can kind of tease a storyline or even start a storyline. One of the people involved goes away for quite some time, and then they just come back later and they pick it up right where they left off. And I think they've done stuff like that with feuds, and they've done stuff, even you could say with Cody Rhodes. The guy was gone for 10 months, and basically they picked up where they left off. Like he had the torn pec match with Seth Rollins in the cage, and then he, had the pec, had to get that fixed. And when he did, they more or less hot-shotted him to win the Rumble, and then he gets his shot with Roman, and then we know what happened from there. That was last year's WrestleMania. So I feel like Rock could easily tease or start this Cody feud. I mean, I think the money match here is Cody one-on-one with The Rock, whether there's a title involved or not. I actually thought this especially when The Rock came out tonight. My headphones just went crazy. But when The Rock came out tonight with that People's Championship belt that he got as a gift from Muhammad Ali's widow, I'm thinking, is this a made-up title so that when Cody doesn't beat Roman, Cody's going to face The Rock for the People's title? Is that going to be the thing where they just everybody? And I said earlier before you came on here that it's like the Herb Abrams UWF from 1990, where every single match has a fucking title belt to it. You know what I mean? And, because the only guy without a belt tonight was Cody. I mean, Seth in the main event. Seth had his belt. Roman's got his belt. And now Rock has his made-up belt. Let's see. Mikey, Roman taking time off until SummerSlam or Saudi. I mean, here's the thing with that.
From
SummerSlam,
Facebook user.
yeah. It still might be Michael AJ because like I said, if you comment on the actual YouTube thing over your on One Pro Wrestling Sports Fan, then I can see your name. If you comment on Facebook, sometimes it just says Facebook user. So that's okay. But basically, Roman taking that much time off, that gives me flashbacks to like 2017 Brock Lesnar, like when he was the champion and he would defend the title twice a year. And I just feel like if Roman does walk out with the championship tomorrow night, I hope that they don't just give him the summer off or the spring off, because I feel like
I got to get my charger. I'll be right back.
All right, go ahead. That's no problem. So I just feel like we got a little shot there of Gonzo, but I feel like that's a little bit, too much for a champion to take all that time off. And not to go back to 1980s wrestling rules, but the 30-day clause used to be a thing. That was one of those wrestling official rules that actually seemed to help wrestling when a champion had to defend the title every 30 days. Let's take another look at this comment from Michael AJ. What killed AEW for me? The Devil Mask, Adam Cole, just as bad as WCW Shockmaster. Well, part of that, AJ, was I don't know if they started that whole devil thing with Adam Cole in mind, and that once they decided to take we're talking about this AEW thing with the mask and Adam Cole as the devil. I didn't really have a problem with Adam Cole being revealed as the devil, but as other people have pointed out, if you're going to do that, then do it. And even if MJF is on the shelf for a while because of real injury or storyline injury or contract negotiation or whatever's going on with MJF, where we haven't seen him since he lost that title to Samoa Joe, why isn't Adam Cole presenting himself with this devil gimmick? I don't know if you've been following AEW enough to comment on this one, Gonzo, but basically they were doing this whole mystery angle of somebody's wearing a devil.
Oh, yeah. I know right. The whole thing.
So as far as I know, and I haven't been watching Dynamite religiously, but has Adam Cole done anything with the devil mask or made any allusions to the devil since he revealed himself to be the devil, or have they just kind of put that on the shelf?
I don't know. I haven't been watching enough to know that.
Yeah, from what I've heard.
From what I've seen, the same thing, though. I haven't seen any devil mask. So
yes, so he revealed himself at the pay-per-view where MJF lost in his hometown to Samoa Joe, but it seems like they've just kind of buried it, like they just or just put it on the shelf that MJF was the devil the whole time. I will say this though, buddy.
Adam Cole was the devil, though, right?
Adam Cole's the devil, yes, but
yeah, okay.
MJF, basically MJF lost the title to Samoa Joe, I think because part of it was that Adam Cole couldn't get like the ring in time for MJF to blast Samoa Joe with it. So Samoa Joe was able to put the clutch on him, like the choke out. So the idea being that Adam Cole, you thought he was trying to help MJF, but just couldn't get the ring in time. But then the reveal is that he wasn't going to get the ring. He was purposely not getting it on time to distract MJF so that Samoa Joe could choke him out and take the title. Then when the pay-per-view ended and everyone was so surprised that MJF lost in his hometown to Samoa Joe, I think they did the whole blackout thing. And then these masked henchmen were holding Adam Cole and MJF. Then they did another blackout, and suddenly Adam Cole had the devil's mask on, and it's revealed that he's the devil. And it was like,
oh, sorry, guys.
It was a group of like Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Wardlow, who's from MJF's past, obviously, and Adam Cole. So they had like this group that I think they did in the old Ring of Honor. And those two of those guys, Mike Bennett and Taven, I'm actually pretty friendly with in real life because I used to do commentary for their matches. And so I was happy to see them. And Wardlow and the other guy from Cole's old group, the whiny guy, the friendship guy.
Roderick Strong.
Yeah, Roderick Strong. So it was a five of them. So I don't know how much that group is being pushed because basically it was looking like, okay, another heel faction. And my buddy Alex is chiming in that both Adam Cole and MJF have bad injuries, which is true, but it's kind of like, is this another storyline that they've pushed here? They're doing in AEW. They're pushing a storyline to the sidelines when MJF and or Adam Cole are back from the sidelines. Can they put this storyline front and center again, or at least in the mix? And Alex, it seems like you've been watching AEW Dynamite more than me and Gonzo. Do you have any information? Has that group continued at all? Like the Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, Wardlow. Let's see if Alex has any insights, because I haven't been watching Dynamite, so I can't give an honest answer. I don't know.
I mean, I've watched a little bit, not much, but I've watched a very little bit. And from what I've seen, Wardlow is by himself, and then the Matt Taven and Mike Bennett guy, I think, are a tag team together. And I don't know anything beyond that. So, I mean, the group could still be together. I just haven't seen anything that I've seen hasn't been with the group together. I just saw Wardlow by himself a couple of times, and I'm pretty sure I saw the Matt Taven and Mike Bennett guy as a tag team. So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe that guy knows, though.
Right. So let's see. Let's take a look at. Let's get back onto our matches here. So we started with Rhea and Becky. The next match was the big tag team match. I thought I've got to watch that one again. Like that's on my homework list, is to watch the big tag team crazy championship match. It seemed like a match that everybody was having fun with. they had two new tag team champions. I wasn't even sure, was there champions going into this match, or was the
Yeah,
titles held up? Who were the
that was
champions going in?
Judgment Day.
Okay, so they lost both sets of belts.
Yeah.
So the first one they lost to was A-Town Down Under, right?
Well, from what I understood is that the match didn't end until both of the championship belts were pulled down. But then I was like wondering, okay, well, what if two different teams pull them down, which is what happened. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the last team to pull the last belts down win. I think that's what it was,
No,
like the
no, it
last
wasn't.
team.
It
No?
was A-Town Down Under gets one set of belts, and Awesome Truth got the other set.
So there's two sets of champions now.
Correct, because when
Okay.
when A-Town Down Under, which are kind of like the cool heels, I think, when they got the belts for, I believe, SmackDown, they announced them as the new SmackDown champions. They took like 10
Okay.
seconds, and then they were fighting to get the other set of belts to pull off the sweep, and then they got dejected, and then the match continued for another 10 minutes or so.
So somebody must have been SmackDown tag champs then, right?
I think the
I know,
titles
like,
were unified going into this thing. I think one team had both sets of championships, and they had been merged together for a year at least, and then this was a way to split them up again.
To split them up. Okay, got it.
And in a sense, that, I mean, I'm not one for having double championships across the board, but in the modern era of WWE, where you have all these wrestlers across SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, and whatever else they're doing, I think it's okay. Although I'm still not a fan of it. You know what I mean?
I think it's okay with the tag belts.
Right.
I don't mind that, because I think that it gives more people a chance to be like in the mix for something that has meaning. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't like when they like necessarily copy every belt, for each show. That's kind of stupid. But I think the tag belts is okay, just because you get so many guys a chance.
My buddy Alex is chiming in that it was Undisputed Kingdom.
Oh yeah,
So I think that's what they were called. I'm not sure if that's the AEW name, or if that's what they had that in Ring of Honor with those guys, because it was the Undisputed Era in NXT back in the glory days for Adam Cole's NXT, when he was like the 190-pound NXT dominant guy. So we have let's jump on this real quick. We did talk about this a little bit earlier, Mr. Rombom, but here's a new viewer, so I want to check in with him, and then we have a big question coming up. Where do they go with Ripley after this? That's what we were conjecturing earlier. Basically, you can go back and watch us before when we're done here, but my thought was, if they had Rhea Ripley lose tonight, then they have something for her to do, which is basically chase Becky Lynch until SummerSlam or whenever. But they did not do that. They had Rhea continue to dominate. I did make a point that NXT has at least 4 or 5 women that are ready. I said that JCJ, who used to be in that group with Mandy Rose, JCJ is more than ready to go to the top leagues. She's great. She very captivating, great heel. They could bring her up. So that's, yeah, but the overall problem with women's wrestling in both WWE and AEW, as Gonzo pointed out, and I've pointed out, everyone points this out, unless it's for a title, they have no storylines for these women. And it's kind of distressing, because yes, the women athletes are great. The women in NXT, the women in AEW and WWE, they're all very, very good these days, but they don't have storylines for them. And it seems like the only storyline for women, for the most part, is championships. And I would say that Alexa Bliss, when she was working with Bray Wyatt and The Fiend, and she was in that documentary, and she had some really nice words for Bray Wyatt. Alexa Bliss return incoming on Monday. I haven't heard that. I know that she had a baby with her husband, and congratulations to her. I don't know anything about an Alexa Bliss comeback. I think the baby has been born, and she's probably been gone for a year and a half or 2 years. What do you know about Alexa Bliss, Gonzo?
Nothing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't even know she had a baby.
she did. That's why she's been gone. And she was born on August 9th, 1991 is Alexa Bliss's birthday. She's
Wow.
5 foot fury. She was a really great entertainer.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I felt bad that in the Ronda Rousey era of WWE, I think Lexi, her real name, or Alexa Bliss, was like the victim of a lot of ragtagging by Ronda. Like Ronda's kind of learning on the job how to wrestle, and she's using
Beat the
Alexa
shit
Bliss,
out of
human,
us.
yeah, using the 5 foot Alexa Bliss as a human punching bag.
Yeah.
So Alexa is pictured here at Disney World on her Instagram with her baby. Kind of smartly, she's blocked out her baby's face in all these pictures. She does have this husband who kind of looks like an accessory. Like the husband looks like the personification of a nice purse that a young woman like Alexa Bliss would want to carry, like buy in the mall, and now she's got the husband. I don't know when she's coming back. I mean, the guy's name is Ryan Cabrera. Good for him. Good for her, I guess. She does have a lot of these preggy photos. She has a photo of her in the Fiend outfit. Um, she seems like a really nice lady, and she is a mom now, so good for them. I don't know if she's coming back, but I did have a prediction for this weekend, and I guess I only have one more night to see this come true. If you watch that Bray Wyatt Peacock special,
I
it's
didn't.
very,
I
yeah,
want
I
to though.
watched it.
I want
Yeah,
to.
it's 2 hours. It's definitely worth watching. Watch that, and at the end of it, I mean, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but not too much. At the end of that thing, they roll the end credits, and if you stick with the end credits and don't go on to your next show on Peacock, basically the end credits end, and then you see a close up of a lantern, like the Bray Wyatt lantern, and it kind of flickers, and then they show like the visage of Uncle Howdy.
I heard that actually. I think I might have saw that even. That
Right.
one
So
little clip.
yeah, so Uncle Howdy, as we know, was being played by, I just want to call him Bo Dallas. They've actually stopped
That's
using. Yeah, they've stopped using the Bo Dallas name. Now they're using his shoot name, which I can't
yeah.
remember. But
Taylor.
basically, Taylor Rotundo
Yeah.
is basically being positioned, from all accounts that I'm looking at, to come back as Uncle Howdy, and maybe a remanifestation of this of Bray Wyatt's vision for wrestling. And I would also predict, if you notice tonight, they showed Braun Strowman kind of doing the Big Show thing, where Big Show hosted WrestleMania from the World in New York City, the nightclub, one year, because Big Show wasn't being used for WrestleMania, so they made him host at the WWE nightclub in New York City. That's like 20 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. But my point is,
Mm-hmm.
Braun Strowman was doing that gig tonight, where he was like playing a bartender in some bar and serving up
Oh really?
that weedy whiskey that they're pitching, right?
Yeah.
So I see where they could do Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy, Braun Strowman. They could make, if he fits into that Fiend suit that they've got, the jacked up Fiend suit, or maybe a new character. If Alexa Bliss does come back, even if she's a mouthpiece for the group, that would be fine. And I think you could also draft in some other wrestlers, especially from the. You could bring back Eric Rowan if you wanted to,
Yeah. Yeah.
or you could just bring in some new guys, because, like I keep saying, at these NXT shows, there are so many wrestlers that are capable of moving up. Some of them may not be the best speakers, but any number of them would be more than fine for like a big guy in a Bray Wyatt type costume thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, so to go with your prediction was that Uncle Howdy was going to be at WrestleMania.
That there will be a reemergence of the whole Bray Wyatt vision.
Oh,
Either
you think the whole? Okay. Okay.
I think they're bringing it back, and I think it's a tribute. It's a way to get Bo Dallas back in the mix. I guess he was in the mix because he was doing Uncle Howdy. That was him. I mean, they basically certified that. And the only reason why Bo Dallas stopped wrestling is because his brother died. So, he didn't do anything wrong per se. He didn't piss anybody off, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it seems like Bo Dallas is in the good graces. this family, they put Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo in the Hall of Fame last night. And basically, it seems to me like they have enough of Bray Wyatt's drawings and paintings and ideas, and enough people were close to him. He's got his ex-wife, he's got JoJo, his fiance, he's got some good friends like the guy that designs all the costume. It seems like enough people in the Bray Wyatt inner circle kind of knew what Bray was up to with his creativity. And it seems like Bray left behind enough sketches and I don't want to speak for him, but it seems like people knew what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
With that said, if they're going to continue to give this family, because I kind of feel like this Rotundo Wyndham family is kind of in that same mix as the Samoan family, and other WWE family, the Rhodes family, I guess you could say, it's kind of like the old mafia. Like there's these certain families, right?
Yep.
And the Wyndham Rotundo family has kind of made themselves through the generations with Blackjack Mulligan and Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, and now with Bray Wyatt, especially. It seems like this is one of those families that's going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And in order for them to kind of earn being taken care of, meaning the money, just like Warrior, whether Warrior's widow was any good for wrestling or not, they gave her a job on the WWE creative team, right?
Uh-huh.
But I feel like Bo Dallas is going to get that paycheck from WWE because not only that, it's worth something. Like Bray Wyatt's creativity, even with Bray himself gone, is worth money. I mean, because he had some great ideas. So these characters are, in my opinion, are going to be rebooted, like the Ramblin' Rabbit and the puppets, and I think some new characters that are either things that Bray had sketched out before his passing, or Bo Dallas was close enough to him. If Bo has a brain in his head, which I think he does, and I don't know if he's as advanced or as dark or whatever as his older brother was, but I would think that he's somewhat in that ballpark. I think they're going to continue the Bray Wyatt vision for gothic horror, absurdist wrestling, which I thought was good. And I think so I'm looking forward to it. If it happens, it's either going to be tomorrow night, obviously, because it didn't happen tonight. And then the other option is Monday Night Raw, which might even be better because
WrestleMania. They always have surprises. So, like the Raw after WrestleMania, always at least one or two surprises.
Right. And I think that with WrestleMania, with the Cody and The Rock and Seth, and tomorrow night you get the extra wrinkle of Drew McIntyre, who I think needs to get a belt. So I'm kind of assuming that Drew's going to get a belt as well. And what else is happening tomorrow? You got a bunch of stuff. You got Bailey.
I'll say tomorrow. I think it's going to be way. I don't want to say. I think tomorrow's going to be better than tonight was. There's a lot more that I'm looking forward to tomorrow, as opposed to tonight. Obviously, I was looking forward to the main event tonight. I wanted to see the Sami Zayn Gunther match, but like tomorrow. LA Knight, AJ Styles. I want to see that. I think they've done a good job with that. The Final Testament against Bobby Lashley and Street Profits. I want to see that. And then they have the Bailey match. Drew McIntyre has been doing maybe the best work of anybody lately. Like his promos are fucking on point, dude. The vignettes they're doing with him, his attitude, everything. He's just been totally on point.
And they're doing the match in Scotland. I think the Castle 2 or whatever is in. So he's got to be a champion or fighting for a title at that. And so I think that Drew will win that title tomorrow night, if not soon after, from Seth.
Well, Seth took such a beating tonight. It's like, how could anybody really expect the guy to win? Tomorrow, and that's kind of protects him, I think. He took such a beating tonight that if he loses tomorrow, is it really on him? He got his ass beat tonight. The Rock was cheating left and right, so.
Right. And it's also interesting because, I think part of Vince McMahon's thinking going back to WrestleMania 19 when they didn't have Booker T beat Triple H, and they did have Kurt Angle beat. Actually, they had Brock Lesnar beat Kurt Angle, and the thinking that Vince has, the idea was Vince didn't want 2 title changes in one night. He wanted, Brock to be the only new champion. Now, a year later, for whatever reason, he changed his mind because Cena won a title over JBL, the SmackDown title, and then Triple H lost the Raw title to Batista. So Vince's, ethics or his strategies or his booking policies seem to change on a whim. But the point is, even if Cody were to win tomorrow night over Roman, I still think that having Drew beat Seth makes sense because you have one heel champion in Drew and you have one babyface champion in Cody.
100%. Yeah.
Let's take a look at this comment. This was kind of a big one. Mikey, if you see Pat McAfee when The Rock was on, he spoiled it. He spoiled WrestleMania 40. This was when Vince was back during TKO's merger. Rock and Roman was a lock for WrestleMania 39, but Rock didn't do it because changed Cody and Roman. Roman was one because TKO was taking over. WWE, nothing could have changed until this year. Vince is gone. Hunter full in charge and wants something new and fresh and exciting. Cody beating Roman will happen, erasing Vince from WWE and stuff. Roman being heel and championship reign was his last idea and couldn't touch it yet. This comment plays well with my running predictions. Several months ago, I made a video where I predicted that Roman Reigns was in fact going to beat Bruno Sammartino's 7.5-year record. And at the time, I really did believe that. Gonzo and everybody, because I thought that they were setting up Roman because they don't want people 20 or 30 years from now to have to think about Bruno Sammartino in the 1960s and 70s. They want the 6-year-old kid in 2024 to grow up and think about Roman Reigns. Like when I was a kid, this guy Roman Reigns had all the had the title forever. You know what I mean? So they basically want to reboot history a little bit and take some of these old guys like the Honky Tonk Man with the Intercontinental title or Demolition with the tag team title, longest reigns. They want to scrape those guys and put in the New Day and put in Gunther. And in this case, put in Roman Reigns over Bruno. I do feel like Mikey just pointed out, or Michael A.J. Norris just pointed out, that things have changed, pal, because with Vince gone, I think that kind of got shoved aside. And I would even say that it was probably The Rock himself said, look, I don't want to wrestle Roman Reigns in this match and get booed out of the building. If the people actually do want Cody to win it, let's put the title on Cody. And I think Roman Reigns is smart enough where he's not going to hold him to a deal that doesn't make sense for business. And if it's true, which I don't know if it is or not, that Roman Reigns is struggling with leukemia as we speak, as they said on the telecast tonight, I think that's a good option for Roman to take some time off. And who knows, maybe that's why Roman doesn't wrestle a full schedule, because he does have the leukemia. So maybe that's been an issue for him.
I think it plays into it. I mean, do you remember that probably like 6 years ago when he cut that promo on Raw? He had won the belt, and then he said leukemia came back and everything. So, I mean, I think that's got to be why he only works part-time schedule. But, I hear what you're saying about them kind of rebooting stuff, So, I mean, I wonder... the thing is, though, is how could you ever have somebody in 2020s be a champion for 8 years? You know what I mean? It just seems like, would that even work today? You know what I mean? I don't even know how it worked in the 70s. Like, how did you have a guy a champion 7.5 fucking years? And that worked,
It was a different time, but I mean, even now, I mean, I made that point out that Roman got the belt over Braun Strowman, and the defending champion in that match was Bray Wyatt, who now we're doing tributes to because he's been deceased for a while, right? So time is really interesting. And when Roman did win it, we were in the middle of a pandemic and didn't know when we were coming out of it. And here we are now with 78,000. I mean, they put 78,000 people in there tonight. So, people weren't protesting. They were buying tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get on to some of these other matches. The Bianca, Jade, Cargill, Naomi versus Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai. Like I said before, I think this was basically an exhibition or a showcase match is probably the best way to put it. And I think it basically shows how good Kairi Sane and the other ladies are at selling for these women. And I think that we're basically looking at Bianca Belair versus Jade at WrestleMania next year or some big show like that. What do you think of this 6-woman tag?
I basically same way you felt about it. Just seemed like it's basically a showcase, and just a way to get all these girls on the show. And yeah, I mean, I think it definitely I could see either Jade. I think Jade and Bianca Belair probably next year at WrestleMania or something like you said. But I could also see them ended up being a tag team and becoming tag team champions or something. I could see that too.
I'm trying to remember who the women's tag team champions are right now. I have not a clue. I don't even know if that title's being defended at WrestleMania. I know that they had that merged with the NXT Women's Tag Team title.
Wait, I think it's Asuka. I think it's Asuka and Kairi Sane as the tag team champions.
Yeah, I think you're right. So they were thrown into this 6-woman tag and so forth. So then we got another tag team match, which didn't register too much with me. Sort of a rematch from last year because on one side you get Rey Mysterio teaming up with Andrade versus Santo Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Dominic is really an interesting case because he has become like one of the top heels in professional wrestling in an interesting way. His dynamic with, Mommy, with Rhea Ripley is very interesting. It seems when Rhea's on her own, she's a total fan favorite, but they love Boo and Dominic. What do you think of all this stuff?
I mean, I don't know. It's crazy because like Rhea Ripley is like a fan favorite, and it's like, okay, she's got to be a baby face by now, basically. But Dominic, like the people hate him. So yeah, like you said, it's a weird dynamic when she's with him. It's kind of like they hate him, but they kind of love her, and they don't really know what to do. And then if she's by herself, they love her. They hate Dominic by himself. I mean, I don't know. I think they need to kind of shit or get off the pot with Judgment Day. So either figure out what the fuck you're doing with them and just go with it and do it, or you got to split them up. You know what I mean? Because dude, they've been together for so long at this point, and it seems like it's kind of convoluted now and shit.
It is a weird faction. I mean, they were started by Edge, right? And he's not even.
Yeah.
He's always with the other company. And also, like you said, I mean, Damian Priest with this suitcase. No one's even talking about him for the most part in this whole Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns deal. But in theory, he could come out tomorrow night and say, hey, I want to wrestle both of your asses. Or he could wait for Cody or Roman to win the match and then bonk him over the head with the Money in the Bank suitcase.
Bro, could you imagine if Cody fucking wins tomorrow? And it's like, oh my God, he finished the story and fucking Damian Priest comes out and cashes in and pins him. Right. Dude, the people would fucking lose it. They would lose it.
It is Philadelphia.
It would be a replay of WrestleMania 31 when it was Roman versus The Rock and Seth Rollins came out and cashed in and won the belt. It would be like the same shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to comment on this real quick. I did not watch the NXT pay-per-view. I think that was this afternoon. Maybe I'll go back and watch it. It was good. Dragunov is good. I'm weird, man. I go to the NXT house shows quite a bit, but I don't watch NXT on TV. So it's just a weird thing. Let's see here. Laria lost to Roxanne. Guess new heels can't lose it. Rule in WWE.
Yeah.
We got a little tour here.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. We got a little tour of the Gonzo world.
Hey, I'll be right back.
I'm glad you're wearing pants, by the way. That's good, at least. Let's see. Trick Williams and Carmelo. I'm gonna have to. I muted Gonzo until he comes back. Trick Williams and Carmelo's future in WWE. They're good talents. Trick like Booker T to me, and Carmelo like MVP as heel. I've seen all these guys at the NXT house shows, Michael, but I can't really comment too much on what you're saying here because I don't watch the NXT regularly. But I can tell you that the Whoop That Trick gets a lot of chance at the NXT house shows. Let's take a look at some other matches. The Jimmy and Jey Uso match felt a little underwhelming.